Aloha mai kākou. This is amazing. We're just absolutely overjoyed that all of you are here. We're very. The first thing I want to say is I'm sorry for the ones. We have 200 people out on the line still trying to wait to get in. So I just we'll have to do it again. We'll have to do it again. Yeah. So real quickly, so we can get on with the show, I just want to give recognition and acknowledge the lands, this place, that this conference center, and all the surrounding lands of the Miwok, Pomo, and Ohlone people, and all of the indigenous people that come from this place. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. My name is Lulani Arquette. I'm with the Native Arts and Cultures Foundation. We're a national organization that provides support to artists like Kealoha, organizations and communities of indigenous peoples, Native Hawaiian, American Indian, and Alaska Native. And we're national and located in the Pacific Northwest. And I want to acknowledge real quickly a few people in particular that have been helpful in supporting this. First of all, I want to acknowledge the artists that have worked really hard. We premiered this in Hawaii 2 years ago to a sold-out crowd of 500 people and a waiting line of about 100 in line, same like this. So we need bigger theaters or something, I think. Yeah. It's so great to see all your faces. I just really feel a lot of aloha for all of you. And thank you for supporting, coming in and supporting these artists and the hard work they do. I want to acknowledge again the support of our people that have really gave a lot, not only in the funding arena, but in other ways. Our co-hosts, Bioneers. Thank you, Bioneers. Kenny, Nina, Kara, Alexis, all the staff. Thank you. Yeah. And also, we couldn't do this, folks. I hate to say you can't do this without money. You just can't do this without money and support. We pay our artists cost to do all these things that we're doing, so I want to give great respect and thanks and mahalo to two of the organizations that have really helped make this happen, and that is the Engaging the Census Foundation, Mona Abadare, and Ron sitting over there, and thank you. And lastly, the Hawaii Community Foundation, the Leonard and Rose Family Fund were the first supporters of Kealoha and The Story of Everything. And they couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but they were there with us in full force in the Hawaii premiere. So without further ado, I want to get going on the show and enjoy it, and then we'll have time maybe to talk afterwards or meet the cast. Sometimes they have time to do that after the show, okay? Mahalo, enjoy.
Hi. Where do we come from? No one knows. Where do we come from? No one knows, but we do know a lot about everything, though. So many different crossroads, but the paths look the same. Like it could have gone different, but it went this way. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, but it's all in the past. What happened during the Big Bang? It depends who you ask. Because if you ask a physical cosmologist, she'll tell you a story. A story about a time of strange times. Time and time didn't work like how it does now. Time and all that ever was and all that ever will be existed in a space millions of times smaller than a prick from a needle. A singularity. A time when the universe was wobbly, an unstable speck of near infinite energy that expanded instantaneously to the size of a grapefruit. in a nano millisecond of time. A little less than a millionth of a trillionth of a second when an infinitely finite amount of energy bursts forth into a space so small and so hot that no mass, no particles, no nothing existed. Just pure, unfiltered, untamed energy. When the rules and laws of gravity, nuclear forces, and electromagnetism were combined into one superforce, everything was different. You know, truth is, we don't really know much more about this time. But we know that it happened because we've seen the evidence. The skin and seed remains of a once eaten grapefruit. The billow of smoke left after its gunshot. The faint glow of embers after wildfire expresses a faint glow of microwaves near 160.2 gigahertz, and it's always been there, everywhere, in, on, and around us, even right now. And now, and now, and now. You know, you've seen it before. You have. When you were searching for a signal on your television, it was in plain sight. As part of the noisy interference between channels, it was there as one of the layers of static. If we tune in and listen closely to it, we can even hear it. The ever-present echo of the big bang. And it's always been there, ever since the moment it sprung forth, ever since the moment of zero time. So, from zero time to the first nano millisecond of this universe, we don't know much more. But everything after that, that's when this story takes shape. In the valley of our birthplace, when we emerge from the blinding, scorching heat as baby particles. Tiny baby particles. And we cried out to the universe that we were here, and we were many, so many, trillions upon trillions upon trillions, so countless and beautiful, so innocent and neutral, so delicate and fragile, untainted and untouched. We were a village of subatomic particles with so much potential. So much potential, you guys. Life was carefree back then, and then we grew older. Saw that some of the kids in the classroom were born differently. Saw that some of us couldn't control our rage, and from an early age, it became clear to us that we had the capacity to hate. And as we grew older, we began to realize our true natures, that at the time, there were two types of us, and we were equally powerful, like two sides of a coin, diametrically opposed like north and south poles. We were the yin and the yang, the positive, the negative, like two tip ends of a line. And by the time it was time to graduate, we sat in two different sections, separated into two types. On one hand, were the quarks. Boing! They were the ones who thought they mattered. They want to cooperate, form a society with structure, coexist as equals with their rules and their laws, live in harmony with one another. And on the other hand, are the anti-quarks, the ones who are anti-matter. They want to shatter everything we stood for. You've heard about them. They were the ones who used to bite and scratch in preschool. They were anti. The ones who used to bully in elementary school. They were anti. The ones who got into fistfights in high school. They were anti. The ones who learned to kill in adulthood. They were anti-everything. The ones who formed the army of the anti-matters. Not a moment went by when they didn't fear for their lives. We grew into monsters and beasts, you see. By the time we aged into adulthood, we looked as if we came from the depths of hell, with teeth as sharp as razors and 4 eyes on each side of our faces, scales laced with acid so vile it would scorch their skin with the simplest touch. And we hid. We hid. In every nook and cranny of the village universe, we hid. And we punished them relentlessly, charged them when they weren't looking in a full sprint, nuclear body blast tackle that destroyed both us and them at the same time. Like the Civil War front lines, like World War I, like Vietnam, like the Battle of Actium, like the Battle of the Dunes, like Temujin versus Jamuka, and much like Kawanakajima, the universe was an even matched battlefield, and like the kamikaze pilots or the suicide bombers of the Viet Cong that took us down one by one, two by two, three by three, murderous screams and incessant bloodshed for almost an entire millisecond. We raged in war, an Armageddon that annihilated both us and them at the same time. Destroyed our quark families and our antimatter enemies back into energy. Exactly how we were before we were born, recycled and transformed back into purity, back into pure energy, as if we never existed. But then, that energy would mix with the rest, and spontaneously, we would be born again. Born again as tiny baby particles. And we cried out to the universe that we were here, and we were many, so many. Trillions upon trillions, so countless and beautiful, so innocent and neutral, so delicate and fragile, untainted and untouched. We were billions of subatomic particles with so much potential. Life was carefree again. But then, the same thing. Some of us found love and some of us found hate. We differentiated like north and south poles. We were the yin and the yang, the positive, the negative, like two tip ends of line that destroyed each other back into energy again. We're born again as matter and antimatter, north, south, yin, yang, positive, negative, tip ends of a line that destroyed each other again and again and again to repeat the cycle over and over, the cycle of joy and sorrow, the Great War. The Great War. When so many of us died and then cried our first cries. Some say it was a time of reincarnation. From energy back to matter and antimatter, from energy back to matter and antimatter, from energy back to matter and antimatter is a time of mere survival. When we fear for our lives at every point in time was a time of fearful times. And we lived that way for almost an entire millisecond. We raged in war. We raged in hate. But then something happened. Something happened. I'm not quite sure how, but for every billion of the evil antimatters, there ended up being 1,000,000,001 of us quarks. Maybe the antimatters were less stable than we were, and some of them died off before they had a chance to kill, to fulfill their missions. However it happened, we slowly accumulated, little by little, as brothers and sisters. We plodded on with our purpose, waited for the universe to cool down. And when it was a microsecond old, as the dust had settled, there were hardly any antimatters left. And us quarks slowly assembled together in peace. In a space 1,000,000,000 kilometers in diameter, we gathered as men and women in protest of the war. In all the various combinations as black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and white, we assembled. In a town known as Bethel, in upstate New York, during a time we collectively called Woodstock. We came and we danced to the sounds of Joan Baez and Richie Havens, the Grateful Dead and Santana, Jimmy and Janis Joplin. We gathered around 32 acts of a defining generation, and every generation came after we witnessed the freest, grooviest concert this universe had ever known for a blissful 200 seconds that far outlasted the time of war. We came and we danced. And as the sounds of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young rang through the crowd, we mellowed out and sat in groups of threes. The peaceful quarks who gathered in all the various combinations of colors and genders. And for every group of three, we combined and mixed into the hadron particles. You know, the hadron particles, like the protons and the neutrons. We gathered together as a community in peace. We showed the universe how great we could all be if we just sat and listened to the music. It was all about the music. And we come from all of this. We come from both war and peace. From the recycled, redefined, reincarnated energy of opposites who are created so differently and yet fundamentally one and the same. We come from cycles of creation and destruction, a soup of all that has ever been and all that ever will be, mixed and error remixed and error remixed throughout time. We come from both positive and negative, from life and death, from evil and good, from heroes and monsters, from givers and takers and healers and murderers, from saints and sinners and losers and winners, from the elite to the beggars, from straight to gay, from conservative to liberal, from fundamentalist to atheist, from black to brown to red to orange to yellow to green to blue to indigo to violet to white, from big to small, and through it all, the one thing that remains the same, no matter how crazy or different we may seem to each other, is that we are cut from the same cloth. We share the same origins with everyone and everything, and through this we can find peace. Like how we did that summer in '69 when we demonstrated to the universe that if we held hands for a moment and listened, we could become the power of love, the power of unity, the power of our humanity, and the power of understanding. We shall never forget how we came together to listen to the music, because that's what we come from. We come from a short time of war that led to an infinite period of peace. You guys ready for peace? Yes. California, you guys ready for peace? Yes. You ready for what comes next? Yes. Cool. Then follow me. Where do we come from? No one knows.
I've been sitting here for 1,000 years. Are you in the trees, basking in the sun? Are you ready? Are you ready for peace? Are you human hands healing deep inside? Where do you reside? It is time to meet you. I am ready to receive. I am ready for peace.
Where do we come from? No one knows, but we do know a lot about everything, though. So many different crossroads, but the paths look the same. Like it could have gone different, but it went this way. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, but it's all in the past.
What was it like for us in the stars? It depends who you ask. Because if you ask an astrophysicist, ooh, wee, man, you know what? Shoot, it was just like Studio 54 for sure. Yo, it was the baddest, flyest, far-out funkadelic disco dance party you've ever seen. You dig? All right, so check it, right? So after the Big Bang, there was this period of time that we call the Dark Ages. Period when it seems as if nothing was going on, as if the music had died out. No lights for us to see with. The universe was just pure darkness. No gatherings or festivals that anybody really remembers after Woodstock. We were just wandering particles in clouds of gas. But after a few 100 million years, large clusters of people started to gather in discotheques scattered throughout Manhattan. We pulled together our collective gravities to pull together a new type of party, a party fueled by swinging a free love attitude laced with flow, poppers and ludes. It was a party without consequences. It was bright lights, zero inhibitions, and all right, a little bit of recklessness. It was blazingly hot. Yo, man, it was dynamite. That's right. It was, yo, it was ladies' night. Free entry for all the ladies, because everybody knew you couldn't have a party without the ladies. So they were the first to show up. They were the Protons. Protons, positively the hottest items in the clubs with their platform boots and tight stretch pants, showing the curves, shaking their assets, woo, like hot hydrogen plasma. As soon as they got in and the electromagnetic music took over, they stepped up their pace, whizzing, hips shaking. And every once in a while, 2 of the ladies would smack straight into each other. So hard that gamma ray heels, a neutrino purse, and a positron wig would fly through air, replaced by big shades and butterfly collars. So hard that one of the females would actually lose her positive charge, turn all cool and neutral, turn into a neutron. Neutrons. Folks, this was how the fellas came through, you dig? Like maybe they were dudes all along the way, but were dressed as ladies, so they didn't have to pay the cover charge. Or maybe some of the ladies could change sex, like how some female frogs could turn into fully functioning males, fully functioning sperm-producing males, if there aren't enough fellas around. However it happened, there they were, together, attached at the hips. They were a duo, they were a deuteron. That's 1 proton and 1 neutron doing the hustle. And after a while, another lady would join in to make a trio, doing the bus stop. And then another trio doing the bus stop would join in to do the bump. Spitting out 2 of the ladies to form new groups of their own, because 4 ladies and 2 dudes, yo man, that's a bit unstable. But 2 ladies and 2 dudes, yo, that was stable. That was copacetic in the discos. That was considered noble. That was helium. And we do the bump for millions and even billions of years until eventually the disco would run its course, and towards the end there'd be less and less single ladies left in the club. And they were chillaxing on the perimeter near the wall. You get your back up off the wall. But deep within the core, everybody else was partnered up in helium 4s, and it's here that we created new dances together. Like 2 of us heliums would get together. That's 4 ladies and 4 dudes doing the hot chocolate. Yo, that was beryllium. Or maybe 3 of us groups get together. That's 6 ladies and 6 dudes doing the funky chicken. And yo, that was carbon. Or maybe another lady would join in to make nitrogen. Or maybe instead of a lady, we'd have another helium 4. You'd end up with 8 ladies and 8 dudes doing the pump. Yo, that was oxygen. Or maybe another lady. Or maybe another group. Or maybe some of the ladies would turn into dudes mid-dance. It was crazy and yet so natural. Every single combination you could think of, like 14 ladies and 14 dudes doing the robot. Yo, that was silicon. Or 16 ladies and 16 dudes doing the doing the sulfur. All the way up to 26 ladies and 26 dudes doing the iron. Now freeze! And once everybody was doing the iron, we couldn't combine anymore. Couldn't turn the beat around. Couldn't keep it funky to the break of dawn. The Saturday Night Fever was done. And it was then that the club owners decided to just shut it down. So they throw one last closing party, one last blast to echo into the night. But man, you should have seen that closing party. Yo, that dance floor got so packed and so hot, it literally blew up the spot. And with that, the star would go supernova. Or maybe even hypernova. And with the extra energy from the blast, we create new dances with even greater numbers, like 36 ladies and 44 dudes. Yo, that was Krypton. Or 80 ladies and 120 dudes. And yo, that was Mercury. On those last blasts, those last nights, we turn out all the hits. We make silver and gold and platinum. Yo, we make uranium and thorium, radon and xenon. And when the closing party was done, when it was time for everybody to move on out, we'd scatter in all the various forms as carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, as silver and gold and platinum. And we know that almost every natural element that exists today was created this way, was created through these dances and these discos, and we'd spread beyond the Lower East Side out to funky towns in Chicago and LA, London, and Beijing, where disco fever would take shape in various cities throughout the cosmos. And with the extra elements left over from the supernovas or the hypernovas, we create new stars that already had a metallic core, that already seemed to know what we were doing, and the party would start up again as Ladies' Night! To attract the single ladies to make it hot, and we dance the same dances. We do the hustle, the bus stop, and the bump. We do the hot chocolate, the funky chicken, and the pump. And if the disco ever ran its course, if everybody left in the chorus started doing the iron again, freeze! The club owners decided to just shut it down and throw another closing party. And some of them ended up as explosions that created black holes. And some of them ended up as explosions that produced more elements. And some of them ended up as dead white dwarfs. But more clubs will be born again where there are enough single ladies to make it hot. And they'll keep popping up for billions and billions of years more until eventually they'll all stop popping up. And the boogie, oogie, oogie will die. Yo, that time is a long, long ways from now. And as far as we're concerned, this music is gonna last for billions and billions of years more. So relax and dance, Daddy-O and Foxy Mama, shake your groove flang. Just dance. And we come from all of this. Every element of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus that makes up our bodies was forged in stars. In the middle of dance floors billions of years ago, was born as we danced to the beat, fused together in a brilliant flash, and in our lives, shoot, we're no different. You see, we come from dances between lovers and friends, and some dances may last for billions of years, and some may come to a quick end. There'll be acquaintances, catalysts, and partners, and family. There'll be those across the dance floor who we make eye contact with, but we will never meet. There'll be those who we will never know because they were in a different disco. There'll be those who we long to dance with, but will pass us right by, right before our noses. There will be hot times and explosions. There will be the pulling and pushing of emotions. There'll be laughter and tears and everything in between. There'll be times when we're high out of our minds and times when we come crashing down into smithereens. There'll be times when we blush and times when we release our dreams, uncage our inhibitions. There'll be private moments and there'll be public exhibitions. There'll be those who love us more than we do. There'll be those who we love too much. And there'll be those who are just right. But no matter how good the dance, no matter how beautiful we may feel in the moment, understand that nothing was meant to last. And whether moments together end in a dramatic flash of brilliance or an uneventful fizzle, it will happen. And we will move on. We always do. We always have. Just understand that you're never alone, even though you might be flying solo in the disco. Know that you can always close your eyes and feel the beat, feel your feet moving in rhythm with everyone else. There was a home for you, a place where you belong. There was a core that is waiting for you. Just know that if you're willing to seek it out, you got options in this life, kid. And even when you break up or when life spits you out of these moments, just be open to the next dance. And if no one is ready to hold you close, learn how to dance alone. And be comfortable with that. You'll blast the music, dance in front of a mirror. Ooh, and don't stop till you get enough. Because you are beautiful that way. Just how you're beautiful when you dance with others. And that's how life has always been. And that's how life will always be. One crazy dance that will last an eternity.
Where do we come from?
No one knows.
But we do know a lot about everything, though.
So many different crossroads.
But the paths, they look the same.
Like it could have gone different.
But it went this way.
Like a hopscotch game?
Of infinite time. Every time we move forward.
Yeah, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions.
But it's all in the past.
What came after our sun and planets were created? depends who you ask. Woo, bruh. Because if you stay ask one theoretical planetologist, bruh, I'm gonna tell you that Mother Earth, woo, nani loa oia, which meant, oh, that Tito was pretty mean, yeah? No, not mean like bad kind mean. I mean mean, like good kind mean. You know what I mean? I mean, ever since she was small kid time, bruh, you could tell because her face stay all perfect, yeah? No more zits or nothing like that, and her teeth stay all straight kind too, with her waist was not too fat and not too skinny, but just right, Ooh, that girl was healthy. Hot as one rockin', honey girl, bruh, she could eat. Goblet of a kind, meteors and asteroids and comets like fish and poi and coconut water and whole. Some of the big ones she would grind. It was like Wendell's 600-mile long lao lao. 1 in a million billion tons of the finest ingredients. Whoo, that broke the mouth, For real though, she was something special. And everybody in the village would know, specifically her brothers and sisters, Mars boy and Venus girl, Jupiter and Mercury, was automatic. They would know she was the one. Bruh, even the sun, he could keep his gaze of light rays off her, illuminated her body like one big spotlight. Woo, the sun. Bruh, he say all googly eyes for her ever since she was born, ever since she was the size of one tiny speck of dust that been collide and combine with other specks of dust for create one tiny pebble, that been collide and combine with other tiny pebbles for create one rock, that been collide and combine with other rocks that grew and grew and grew. Oh, but the sun, that bugger, he fell for everyone he knew. When fall for everyone his light rays could reach, and all the planet brothers and sisters, they would love him right back. And they would dance for him, yeah? He was like one part sugar daddy and one part Mr. Lava Lava. Oh, for all of them. And she not stayed different when fall in love with the gaze from his light rays. He would keep her warm like one copper blanket on her skin, or radiate her body with each spin, and every day she would turn to him and would ask him questions, yeah? Like, where do we come from? And how does that affect your worldview? I mean solar view. I mean cosmic view. Never mind. And he would tell her, hey, me, I was just one of many kiki, just like you, one of the sons and daughters of my mama's son, you know, Grandma Wahine. That one day, she when Make died dead, exploded in one supernova. And left behind was one gas womb. And in that womb, gravity, when bring together clumps of hydrogen and bombard those clumps of hydrogen, when nuclear fusion ignite for create plenty kind stars. And I no can remember her because she went Make long before my birth. But I remember one time when I seen one picture of her in her younger days when she used to put on the kind platform boots and tight stretch pants and go dance disco club, yeah? Woo! Yeah, I know, small kind we think about, but Grandma Supernova, she was one smooth operator back in the days, All right. And she would pass on to me the ability for burn hydrogen and helium for shine chalk bright. And me, I've been all shaka knuckle at that ever since. And all you planet brothers and sisters, you guys been come shortly after I did, born from the placenta of my own birth. But him, he would mature choke quicker, yeah? Even grew a mustache early on kind. And he would take good care of them, would nurture them during the day with meteors and asteroids and comets, and when tuck them in at night. When keep their bodies warm with radiation on their skin while they would revolve around his mass, his gravitational, radiational love for them. And they would love him right back and would sing to him sweet melodies of mellow tranquility. Or what even talk story about all the times in the past when reminisce about all the planet brothers and sisters in their small kid days, yeah? Like about all the times when Brother Mercury, he went trip over his own feet because he no stay used to running choke fast like that. about that one time when Venus girl, bruh, she would make one big fart and one burp at the same time. Who was one kilo? We from the family. They would make up one word, yeah, they would call it one furp. Bruh, was all Kealoha, was so loud and proud. She would release choke, carbon dioxide, and water vapor at the same time, and it would create one blanket hot box that would create one super powerful greenhouse effect, and so she would pass out from the heat. Ooh, belly Kealoha, that's why hot, honey girl. Then there was a time when Mars boy, he would try for pop all of his zits before one hot date, yeah? That's how come he always get red scars all over his face. And then there was a time when Sister Jupiter, she would get all new age and start doing the kind yoga and deep and heavy breathing. That's how come she always get hurricanes right over her mouth, yeah? And there was all of the times when Saturn boy, he wouldn't get engaged, but he wouldn't get stood up by all of his fiancé, because even though they use him for his sweet okole, they don't actually marry him, but him. He's small kind low, and so he still holds up all the rings for all the fiancé he been loved in the past. In the hopes that one day, one of them going to return. Then there was the ice twins, Uranus and Neptune. They would spend their whole lives acting all high maka to everybody, all cold and snobby. Sorry, they keep to themselves. Psh, whatever, sometimes family, they gonna be like that, yeah? Hey, you understand. And that was the Ohana. Yeah. But then there was a time when that rascal Pluto, he would put on one Malo and one Kihei, and he would stood upright on two legs, and everybody would think he was one new planet for one moment until they would see the tail wagging from over his okole. And they would realize that he was just one dog. One of the plenty kind dogs in the village, so they would adopt him for be part of the Ohana. And all of the Ohana, the sun, the planets, and the family dog Pluto, they've been spending millions of years talking story together. Bruh, life was carefree back then in the Hanabara days. Eat, sleep, talk. Eat, sleep, talk, and listen and learn. And Bombay, after close to 50 million years, plus or minus, all the planet brothers and sisters, they will grow up in she. Mother Earth. She would come all round with curves and all fiery from her core to her skin. And if you ask me, honest promise, Mother Earth would grow up into one hot chick. Yeah, I know, she a Mother, but I can say him, brah. Mother Earth was one smoking wahine. And everybody in the village would have their eyes on her for see what she was going to do. They knew she was the one. And one day, when she was way deep in the forest, past the second waterfall and almost to the third, she heard one, wee! Then she heard one, then she heard the rustling of the leaves, and from nowhere came the tuk of who's on the trail, and all of a sudden, like one quick flash of lightning, the bugger broke through the thick forage. Bruh, the thing was one bambucha, was almost the size of Brother Mars, and and when crash, smack dab into her kino, when false crack her whole backside, direct hit from her elemu to her po'ohiwi, and it would throw her to the ground with chunks of her body missing. Bruh, her guts would fly up all around like when dropped char shu manapua. Oh wait, we in California, yeah? Let me try them again. Bruh, her guts would fly off all around like when dropped super supreme, open face, hard shell carnitas taco. And everybody went, oh, nah. And the BC asteroid, some of his guts would fly off too, but most of him would disappear into her opu. When became one with her left lodged in her insides, they would trade skin and saliva. When trade blood and mana was unreal. But their guts, the pieces of charshu and carnitas that would fly off all around, they would get caught up in her orbit as tiny rocks. And as they would revolve around her, they would collide and combine and grew. And after 10 years, plus or minus, They would grow up into one strapping young dude who was formed in her image. You know, some people think he was taken from her ribs, yeah? That's one interpretation. But us guys, in reality, we think was more like the remnant parts from her chest cavity. Because he would feel and move with her rhythms. And she no could keep her eyes off him, his face, smiling down at her as she would sing melody to him, like an up upon it bird coming up to its equal in the middle of the forest. Pau ole aka make make. she would sing to him all soft and gentle. Made up the words to spontaneous freestyle songs about his glow, and he, feeling small, kind, sassy, he went dance for her, yeah. All strong and powerful, he would play with her waters, when caress them with his pull and release, and she would get all excited and wet, and her heart would throb red with molten pohoy hoy lava. And she would churn while her fires would burn her blood hot, and he would pull and release her waters, and she would blush red in her cheeks while she would sing to him. Na ia ipau aliko kalehua. Of how she would feel for no, he wouldn't exist. 'Cause loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful. Of how she would always long to be together with someone who saw her for her. Someone who was part of her. Same. Someone who she could be part of or create new memories together. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Doom doom doo doo. Oh, it was so romantic, y'all. And she would sing, and he would dance, and they would laugh and giggle while the sun would watch on. Oh, snap, bruh. The sun, he stayed watching the whole entire time, bruh. Was unreal, was all nuts. I mean, okay, all right, it's true, yeah, that everybody in the village was watching, like they was gathered around one TV, watching one late night Skidamax R-rated movie. But even more nuts was the sun. He stayed both watching and lighting up the whole entire thing for everybody to see with one part love and one part jealousy. That's why harder. But you know, the funny thing was he was all cool about it, bruh. Totally cool. Fonzie kind cool. Hey. He knew was common sense that his sugar daddy love was never meant for B, that she was never really his for keeping, that one day she was going to fall in love with somebody new, and even though he no could help but feel small kind jealous of the moon, he would keep them warm and in orbit. I mean, I don't know what she like him for do, make A, cause one scene, cast them off away from the family. Nah, bruh, they was in love, and he stay happy for them, so he wouldn't do nothing, just been watched like everybody else as their love would develop. Bombay, every once in a while, the moon would come in between the sun and the earth, would block out the light and would eclipse her in his shadow. Or maybe some other time, the earth would come in between the sun and the moon, and it's during those eclipses when they would share their secrets with each other, yeah? When whisper, aloha au ya oi, and you're so beautiful. These was their dates, their private moments, when no one could see what's going on in between them, because no more light for see in between them with, no more chaperone, no curfew, and not tell anybody, yeah, but I'm going to tell you. All right, check them out, check them. It's when they went oof. You know, when they went put inside. When they went make love, okay? And Bombay, after a number of times, I don't know how many eclipses Wednesday go, but bruh, it never went take long, yeah? She would wake up one morning all sick in her old poo, woke up, throwing up in the moon. Oh, he went panic. He never knew what to do. She no could move, could only moan. Oh, Nathan. And he would do what he could. He would bring her water, would massage her shoulders, would caress her skin with his, but it never make one difference. She would feel all bust up for almost an entire month straight. That's why hard, huh? But you know, after a while, she would figure them all out, because she would notice that her body stay all changing, yeah? And she would notice it. She would stop menstruating, and the nourishment she was eating was feeding one seed. She was getting bigger and fatter, and she would say to him, Nathan! Nathan! Oh, what, Tita? Nathan, I no can drink the beer anymore. Cause I'm hapai. Oh, you're what? I'm hapai. I'm pregnant. Oh, hey, I thought you said you was pregnant last week. Yeah, I know, same one. Oh, and he would get all excited and stoked inside. He was going to be one daddy. And she would get all excited too, and she would do some research about natural childbirth and health and nutrition and exercising. And she would ask Sister Jupiter for tips about yoga, yeah, so she could try to keep her figure. Pfft, fat chance, yeah. Now, I had small kind chance, but by the time the 6 month when say come already, she would feel all ready for a bus, and she still had 3 more months to go, and so she would feel all junk inside again, and she would say to him, Nathan, I feel so big and bloated. Do you still think I look beautiful? Hey, Tita girl, I thought I wouldn't tell you, loving you is like surfing you. And right now, you're like one big wide male wave rolling over the reef, huh? Honey girl. Honey girl. Right now, I couldn't love you anymore, even with your big old poo, swollen fingers, cankles, and all. Baby girl, you stay carrying my seed. I think. Maybe. That's what he knew in his heart, and that very well could have been the case. But if you ask one theoretical planetologist, I'm gonna tell you that maybe the moon wasn't the actual factual baby daddy. That maybe the baby never even come from the moon's pulling and releasing other tides, cross my heart and hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. I'm gonna tell you that it very well could have been the sun's rays that went through him, Or maybe it could have been all the meteors and asteroids and comets she been consumed throughout all of her years. Maybe one of them was laced with simple kind strands of RNA or DNA for make herself pregnant. Or maybe, just maybe, the whole thing was immaculate. No more baby daddy. Like some of us guys, we think that near her heat vents, she's been organized strands of carbon and nitrogen and oxygen and phosphorus and hydrogen in a certain way for make DNA for make herself pregnant. The point is, we don't really know who and do them. Like maybe it could have been 2 or 3 of the possibilities I just been tell you, or maybe it could have been all of the above or none of the above. But here's what we know for sure, that even though no one would know who the baby daddy was, the moon was the one willing to take responsibility, okay? And brother, he like be one father, okay? Plus, she would get pregnant not too long after they started oofing. Hey, you understand. If you ask me, he would do the right thing. And by the time the 9th month when they come already, she would feel all immobile and uncomfortable. Bro, she don't do nothing. Only lay down on her left side and only get up for go kitchen for go eat or go bathroom for make shishi. But for the rest of the day, she just lay down and sleep. But every once in a while, when she wasn't sleeping, they would talk story about what they was going to name the baby and what the thing was going to look like, and if the thing was going to have his nose or hers. And they would do all hypothetical scenarios about their future family, yeah? Like about how they was going to handle the discipline for the child if and when it would act up. And they would decide not to spank the baby because they was doing all kind of internet research, and current research would show that if you spank, the gray matter in the brain going to get all bust up and bombarded, going to affect depression and addiction and cognitive abilities. So yeah, no more spanking, they would decide, bombard. And every night, she would fall asleep dreaming of all the possibilities. And he would kiss her forehead and would smile down at her as she would sleep. And all the planet brothers and sisters and the sun, they would watch over them like proud uncles and aunties for be. And week come, from all of this. We say come from ohana, from family. And family means nobody gets left behind. We come from the kind families that will tell stories, yeah? That will pass on the knowledge from generation to generation. We come from ohana that will honor the amakua and kupuna. You know, the ancestors and the elders, because it's they who showed us we stay standing on. We come from one time and what you will do and stay with you forever, yeah? Like Mars boys, zit face scars, or Sister Jupiter's yoga oming, like Saturn boys rings, or Venus girls furp. We come from one time. We come from one time when we was all responsible for each other too, yeah? And when we use our common sense, because relationships is all we would have in the village, and we would wear our actions loud and proud like badges of honor, that we would claim that this is who I am, because this is what I will do every second, of every minute, of every day of my life. And if you ask me, that's the definition of integrity, bruh. We come from one time when we was all looking out for each other too, yeah? Like family, like community. They say it takes one village to raise one child, and that's just what they was ready for do. The earth and the moon and all the planet brothers and sisters and the sun. It was a time of family values, of strength and virtue, of being cool with all of each other's quirks and mistakes, of accepting each other for who we was and who we is and who we going to be, of working together as we say, zipping through the Milky Way, all the way over here in outer space, right here, just one small kind part out of our uku billions of solar systems scattered throughout the galaxy, and our galaxy, say just one small kind part of all the uku billions of galaxies scattered throughout the universe, all the billions and billions of solar systems out there doing their disco thing light years away, maybe making their own life or not. It's up to them. It's their right for choose, yeah? And all along the way, we say going holo holo with all our sons, brothers, and sisters and cousins, or we say strolling around the mega black hole, the pico of the galaxy that keeps this whole thing together. You see, we come from one great big ohana of calabash cousin galaxies, one bambucha extended family of stars and planets and moons and meteors and comets and asteroids and black holes scattered throughout the universe. You see, this is what we come from. We come from one great big universal family.
Hanau kapo.
Where do we come from? No one knows. But we do know a lot about everything, though. So many different crossroads, but the paths look the same. Like it could have gone different, but it went this way. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, but it's all in the past. What happened when life first appeared on this planet? It depends who you ask. Because if you ask an evolutionary biologist, she'll tell you that Mother Earth oli ke kumulipo during her labor.
Hanau kumuli boy ka po he kane. Hanau po ele ka po he wahine. Hanau ka uku ko ako a hanau kana he ako apuka. Hanau ke ko nu he eli ho op uho nu hanau kana he ko puka.
And when she was ready to push, the moon pulled with one last tug on her womb. And as the embryonic waters rushed forth, they contained a single cell, like a single thump, floating over the bass drum rumblings of the night. It was a bacteria, a slime, nourishing the nutrients of her fluids. An infinitesimal infant, unconscious of its existence, persisted in its will to survive. And as night turned into day and day turned into night, it grew too big for its limits. And with a quick twitch, it split into 2, giving birth to an identical twin. And they thrived and reproduced to produce more children. And they thrived and reproduced exponentially. Like a cascade of ripples scattered throughout the sea. Over a billion days and nights, they thrived and reproduced until an entire tapestry was woven. Generations of descendants dispersed through her waters, and over time, after endless days and nights, after trillions of beats had come and gone, had echoed into the darkness, one of our single-celled notes made a mistake when it replicated, gave birth to a strange sound with mutated genes, different from anything that had ever been heard before. It was an archaea, a cell at a different frequency, able to survive the harshest of environments, and it thrived and reproduced. And they thrived and reproduced, and they spread. Scattering in, on, and around Mother Earth, they thrived and reproduced, while the bass beat continued near her womb. And we stayed that way for millions of years. Trillions upon trillions of beats come and gone, until one day, one of our single-celled notes made another mistake that was profoundly different. A bacteria that came out photosynthetic, able to catch the sun's rays for sustenance. It played at the surface of the water each day, became independent, went off the grid, held the blueprint for chlorophyll. Like a mistake played beautiful. It was like jazz, man. And it thrived and reproduced. And they thrived and reproduced. And they spread. And they spread throughout Mother Earth's oceans. They thrived and reproduced. Filled the world with oxygen. They thrived and reproduced alongside bacteria and archaea. And life stayed that way for over 1 billion years, echoing into the cosmos, shaping the atmosphere, laying the foundation for our future. And then something really, really interesting happened. And we're not quite sure how, but we have our hypotheses. Somehow, some way, an archaea ate a bacteria without actually eating it. And this bacteria lived inside, and together they thrived symbiotic, like how lovers come together to make each other better, entwined in each other's essence through the night. It seems an archaea ended up with the bacteria in its gut, where they became one entity, exchanging genes. Thus, a new form of life plucked itself into existence. And this new sound was organized with a nucleus for its DNA, which meant that we now had a dedicated space for our genes, our own little laboratory for genetic transfer and mutation, which is a fancy way of saying that this whole entire thing was about to get insane. The first thing we did was to get multifaceted, arranging ourselves into multicellular life forms. Multiple cells acted as one, like how many brushstrokes combine colors and textures to create a singular masterpiece. Like how billions of tiny water droplets combined to make one cumulus cloud, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the mold and fungi we see today, and others of us went symbiotic with the photosynthetic bacteria. Evolved into the seaweed plants and trees that allow us to breathe, but the rest of us, we broke off from the chain. Went a new direction with our multicellular lineage. Mutated into simple animals who gained the power of digestion, who could eat the energy of other living organisms to thrive and reproduce, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the coral polyps, worms, and starfish we see today, and others of us grew exoskeletons for structure and protection. Evolved into the crustaceans and insects with mind-blowing diversity, but the rest of us, we broke off from the chain. Went a new direction with our animal lineage. Mutated spines in our insides, then developed into creatures who could swim long distances or change directions. We began to take greater control over our own lives. Learned to swim against the current when we needed to. Grew brains and eyes. Learned how to hunt and avoid being hunted. And some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the fish, sharks, and rays we see today, but the rest of us, we broke off from the chain. Went a new direction with our vertebrate lineage. Mutated lungs and limbs into our DNA so we could take our first gasps of air. Explore land for part of our lives. Take our first steps toward a new frontier, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the frogs, toads, and salamanders we see today, but the rest of us, we broke off from the chain. Went a new direction from our amphibious lineage. Mutated the ability to lay our eggs on land. So we can be born and raised on the Aina, yeah? So you can be safe from predators in the sea, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the reptiles who, man, you should have seen them. They used to run this land. Mutated to epic proportions and became the dinosaurs, and some of them mutated even more. Grew wings and feathers and mastered flight to the evolution of new heights and ruled this land for over 100 million years. Kings and queens from the mountains to the valleys, from the jungles to the plains. But then the world changed. And because of a massive asteroid that swirled in the sky after impact, shooting its dust into the atmosphere like slow motion confetti, blocking the sun and ushering in a lingering winter. Most of the dinosaurs died out. The ones who could fly remained, and they evolved into the birds, direct descendants of royal dino blood, so when they fly overhead, it is their way of letting us know that they once owned the land below them too. But the rest of us, we broke off from the chain before the dinosaurs came. Went a new direction from our reptilian lineage. Mutated the ability to regulate our temperatures, then mutated to hold our eggs inside our wombs from inception to birth. Nurse our infants with milk, develop bonds between mother and child, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the primates, wolves, and horses who roam under the trees, and some of us even went back into the oceans. Evolved into the seals, whales, and dolphins that roam the sea, but the rest of us, we broke off from the chain. Went a new direction with our mammalian lineage. mutated the ability to move upright, mastered carrying and running, became hunters and gatherers, crafted tools to realize our ambitions, grew bigger and better brains. We started to shape our environment, and some of us stayed that way. Evolved into the Neanderthals and Denisovans who thrived in the regions for the rest of us. We broke off from the chain. Went a new direction with our human lineage. Mutated the capacity for high intelligence. We harnessed the power of language, built greater and more complex tools, and whether it was our ability to adapt to changing environments or just sheer luck, we are the only ones of our humankind to have survived the passing of time. So far. And here we are, Homo sapiens, billions of years descended from our bacteria-like ancestors. But this path wasn't easy or precise. We estimate that for every species of animal that exists today, we have about 1,000 species that didn't make it, 1,000 mutations that came and went through billions of years of trial and error, through natural selection and catastrophe, whether we're stronger or smarter, more prolific or more resistant, or just plain luckier. Here we are, the thrivers and the survivors. And we come from all of this. So tonight, I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about what you stand for and realize that all the suffering you've ever experienced means nothing in the long term. For every year you live, the universe will be around for trillions. And for every friend you've made, there are billions yet to be born that you will never meet. In the grand scheme of things, we are nobody. And yet at the same time, we are everything. We are X and Y chromosomes. We are G, C, A, and T genomes. We are complex carbohydrates, simple proteins, soft tissue, hardwired neurons. We are strong bonds linked in nervous systems. And while this Earth's surface is covered with 65% salt water, we are walking bags made of 65% salt water, merely mimicking the environment we evolved from. And when we are done, this flesh we call our own returns home to the sea when we dissipate, evaporate into water vapor, and these bones will be broken down by the roots of the tallest trees, while this Earth, hurling through space, will freeze and boil as it has for eons as it orbits the sun, which in 5 billion years will transform into a red giant and scorch all life as we know it. Its last blast before it fizzles to a whimper, remembered by nobody. Or maybe charted by aliens as they peer through telescopes, logging our sun as a piece of data that came and went. And these aliens, whoever they may or may not be, I want them to think about their lives. I want you to think about your life as you study me through your primitive telescopes, and I want everybody, the aliens, you and me, to realize that even when our hearts break, or when work gets rough, or when rent's due, and when someone somewhere says something stupid about you, even in the face of homicide, genocide, and suicide, in the face of racism, sexism, classism, and insert really bad word here, ism. No matter how hard life may get for you or for other people, zoom out. Zoom out and realize that all the evil in this world is transient. Heck, all the good in this world is transient. You, me, all of us are transient. You will not be you in the grand scheme of things, which makes all your suffering trivial, which makes your ecstasy the only thing worth remembering as part of the universe expressing itself in one giant orgasm known as the Big Bang. We are its aftermath sigh, its alibi for not having a reason. You are the universe learning about itself. You are the universe asking itself why it's here. You assume the universe not learning or asking anything. You're everything and nothing at the same time, and no matter how hard it is to admit, no matter how afraid we get and how much we want to deny the truth, well, the truth is, we're gonna die. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. Sorry, man, you're gonna die. You should eat more vegetables. It's not gonna change anything, we're still all gonna die. But the truth is hard to swallow, and so we do everything we can to avoid the big picture, because the big picture is paralyzing, and so we focus our eyes on the day-to-day dramas of our lives, but not tonight. Tonight, I want you to think about your life right here. Not here, the story of everything in California, but here, this world, planet Earth. Here, this galaxy, this universe. We are not cavemen anymore. There are no saber-toothed tigers lurking in the shadows, yet most of us cling to our fears like the animals we evolved from. What are we so afraid of? We've been etching the same patterns and same predictable places for years. Why do we live the way that they tell us to? And who the heck are they anyway? It's about time we start doing what's in our hearts, because that's all we really got. Tonight, I want you to think about all the things you wish you could do. And tonight, I want you to do one of them. And tomorrow, another. Our lives are temporary art pieces. We are works in progress, so I say, paint your butt off. Use fluorescent yellows and reds in the places where there aren't any color. Dance for the moment. Sculpt your life out of soil and make the universe smile. Be the expressive process that is humanity. Tonight, I want you to think about your life. And tomorrow, I want you to live it. Just to give you some insight real quick, that was the Kumulipo, the Hawaiian creation chant that was composed in the 1700s, about a century before Darwin's Origin of Species. And it talks about how we first was born the slime, like the bacteria, and then was born the coral polyps, worms, and starfish, and then was born the fish, and at the same time the plants, and then was born higher and higher life forms, all the way up to reptiles and mammals and humans. That's the Kumulipo. All right, here we go.
Skąd pochodzimy, nikt nie wie, ale my wiemy dużo o wszystkim, prawda? Tak wiele skrzyżowanych dróg, ale ta droga taka sama. Mogło być inaczej, ale stało się
Cada
tak.
vez que vamos
Jak
adelante,
nieskończące
hubieran
się
sido
ciągła
9
sprawa.
dimensiones paralelas, pero es todo en el pasado.
What came when we became human? Depends who you ask. Because if you ask a population geneticist, she'll tell you that somewhere in the lush savannas of East Africa, the first anatomically modern Homo sapien was born. Genetically, just a little bit different from its archaic human parents, and it thrived and reproduced. And they thrived and reproduced to the rhythms of their heartbeats, and we, you and me, we come from this lineage. We're like distant cousins in the family reunion, looking up our family tree at the men and women who led to us. looking up to see the last ancestor we shared in common. She was born about 200,000 years ago, and she gave birth to children, who gave birth to children, who gave birth to children, and somewhere along the way, some of us broke off from the chain. Migrated south to develop into the San people we know today. But the rest of us, we went a different way with our tribe, and we thrived to the sound of the beat of our drums. And we thrived to the sound of the beat of our drums. And some of us migrated north like the ancestors of the Hadzabe. And some of us migrated west like the ancestors of the Bantu and the Berber. And maybe we were searching for food and or water. And maybe we're on the move because of struggles with political power, but these mothers and fathers of everybody who exists today migrated through Africa, thriving in their spaces, staying on the continent for nearly 3/4 of our existence, for almost 100,000 years. And at some critical point in time, we developed and mutated the capacity for language, taking a great leap forward. We began to communicate with each other and ourselves in ways that were more evolved than before. We made complex tools. We made art. Communicated our plans and intentions for generation after generation until one day, nearly 60,000 years ago, some of us left Africa during a peak in the ice ages when sea levels were hundreds of feet lower because the ocean water had evaporated and accumulated on land as glaciers. We crossed the Red Sea from the Horn of Africa to the Arabian Peninsula. And for the next 10 to 20,000 years, we migrated along the coastlines from the Middle East through southern Asia, kept the journey going through the Philippines and Indonesia, which at the time were all connected by land. And some of us even crossed a small stretch of ocean to the sands of Australia. And all along the way, some of us stayed in each new place, adapted and changed our ways, became one with our surroundings for generation after generation. We passed on our knowledge from elder to kin, passed on our dark features and skin while the sea levels rose to leave each population to thrive in isolation. And while all this was going down, another group of us journeyed out of Africa nearly 50,000 years ago. But this time, we migrated north through the Saharas into the Middle East. You see, for a brief moment in history, the Ice Age decreased in intensity. You know, it got warmer. And as the ice sheets melted, they released moisture into the atmosphere. And for only a few thousand years, what we've always known as the harsh Saharan, Sinai, and Arabian deserts became lush and green. You see, the climate was changing, and we were adapting and changing too. And it's here in the Middle East that we established the practice of farming. Grew our own food instead of hunting and gathering, studied the science behind roots and seeds as we laid down our own roots and spread our own seeds, sprouted populations that traveled back and forth into Africa. In the meantime, some of us migrated further and further, lived nomadic on open grass savannas, mixed a bit with the other humans in the world, the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, and some of us migrated south through Pakistan into India. Established cultures that blossomed with written mantras. Some of us continued east through southern China and down through Southeast Asia, developed techniques for farming rice, which led to a population explosion. And shortly after that, we developed sophisticated seafaring and navigational systems using the stars as our road maps. We migrated throughout the Pacific, reaching faraway lands like Micronesia, through Melanesia, through Polynesia. Evolved cultures and island nations that were distinctly their own, yet were connected by ocean roads and tidal highways. We learned to sail for thousands of miles in the open seas, and for thousands of years, we migrated throughout the Pacific, reaching faraway lands like Aotearoa and Hawaii. And while all this was going down, another migration was underway. Nearly 40,000 years ago, our peoples from the Middle East migrated north into the mountains of Central Asia. And since the climate there could turn blisteringly cold and we had to cover up or hide in caves throughout most of the day, something really, really interesting happened. You see, we weren't getting enough sunlight on our skin to produce enough vitamin D. And because of this, a number of us became weak because our bones weren't shaping properly. We developed diseases like rickets, which inhibited our ability to thrive and reproduce. And so, in order to let as much sun through our skin to survive those cold, harsh seasons over a number of generations, we lost our pigment. Okay, hold on. Time out, you guys. I may have a moment with these guys. Think about it, yeah? For all the racism and hatred that the color of our skin has produced through the history of our humanity, for all the conflict that exists even till this very day, it all comes down to vitamin D. The stuff we drink in milk for strong bones. No joke. You see, your ancestors came from hot, sunny climates where dark pigment acted as a natural sunscreen, shielding the sun from damaging their bodies, and it was a good thing. Well, your ancestors came from cold climates where natural sunscreen pigment would have blocked out what little sun they were getting, and so they lost that pigment over a number of generations to maximize their vitamin D production, and that was a good thing. It's that simple, really. Hot climate, cold climate. Lots of sun, not much sun. Dark pigment as natural sunscreen, good thing. Lack of pigment to maximize vitamin D production, good thing. Period. We cool? Guys, they're cool. All right, cool. Time back in. Woo! And this transformation over generations all happened right here in Central Asia. And shortly after that, nearly 35,000 years ago, the climate shifted to a dry spell, and we radiated out to track the animals of the land, and some of us migrated west into Europe. Banded together as communal tribes, and as the climate continued to get colder and drier, we were ready for it, already perfectly adapted, outlasting our stronger Neanderthal competitors in the region. You see, they were only accustomed to a warm, wet Europe. They weren't prepared for their world to go frigid. And while all this was going down, another group of us migrated east through the rest of Asia, through China and Mongolia and Russia. And during another peak in the ice ages, when sea levels were significantly lower, nearly 18,000 years ago, we continued through Siberia, past Beringia, over to Alaska. Survived and thrived the harshest conditions we had ever experienced. And some of us migrated along the coastlines and inlands through Canada. See, once we reached the Americas, we were home free to roam as we please, sprinting in all directions of the winds and the seas, farming, fishing, and hunting as tribal collectives. And some of us migrated along the coastlines all the way down to the south of Chile. And some of us migrated east throughout the entire New World to reach our farthest destinations nearly 14,000 years ago. From where we started in Africa, nearly 200,000 years before that, and we thrived nearly everywhere. And as the world continued to change, we evolved our ways, and as ice caps melted and sea levels rose, we became isolated once again, developed as culturally distinct cousins, from the sweltering to the freezing, adapting and changing to suit our seasons. And we come from all of this. We come from close kinships with our land. We come from changing climates and changing times that sculpted our minds and molded our bodies, and we adapted beautifully. Like how water changes its shape based on the container that it's poured into, we adapted and changed our ways to establish indigenous niches. There is rich wisdom here. Reaching deep into the depths of the soil, it is our roots. Submerged beneath the surface of the sea, it is our current, and we've heard it all along the way, heard the faint bass of its heartbeat pulsing. Heard the chorus of its chants echoing in the distance. It is in the stories that we tell. So let us never stop listening to the wisdom of the indigenous, to the generations and generations of trial, error, and successes locked in our genetics and cultural practices, to the generations of innovations by people who were tuned into the rhythms and the winds of their surroundings, who passed on their knowledge through oral traditions. You see, we all come from that. One tribe, born in Africa, that journeyed across lands and across seas, generations and generations of cousins and distant relatives who sang with the resonant frequencies of the newfound valleys, prairies, plains, caves, savannas, frozen tundras, deserts, tropical islands, and lush streams, who learned the nuances of the homelands with each season. And for this reason, we are a collective of notes in the jazz scale of humanity, united through the song of our breath. And though we speak in different tongues, we dream the same dreams, connected through our collective experience. So come out from your shelters, my children. Feel the warmth of the sun. The time to listen to each other has just begun. Where do we come from? No one knows, but we do know a lot about everything, though. So many different crossroads, but the paths look the same. Like it could have gone different, but it went this way. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, but it's all in the past. What comes in the future? Depends who you ask. Because if you ask me, I'll tell you that big picture-wise, the future is really, really cloudy. For as amazing as a species we are, and for all the knowledge that we've got, we don't do a very good job of managing our greed and gluttony. We've become addicted to lifestyles and practices that, if left unchecked, will ultimately destroy us. Ain't like the good old days. Remember when we only existed in Africa? When we first evolved as a species, when we were still black? We were like Michael Jackson during the Thriller album. Developing and defining our the human nature. Oh why, we were pretty young things, hunting and gathering during the day. And at night we danced to the beat. It was a time of simplicity. We were truly starting something great, ready to moonwalk all over the world stage. And we left Africa, migrated through Asia and the Pacific Ocean over to the Americas. When we started to lose our pigment and fade to various shades of brown, we were like Michael. Shh. during the bad album. Our noses got smaller, and we developed different faces. We started to physically change, but we were all still amazing. We were speed demons. As we spread throughout most of the world, generations of lovers and fighters, heroes, and smooth criminals, and how we look back at Africa, back at our Liberian girls, we would have seen another part of me. And how we looked up at the man in the mirror, we would have seen that we're so beautiful, so amazing, so hopeful, and yet so fragile. And when we migrated into Europe, man, that's when we just turned straight up white. Just like Michael during the Dangerous album. No need to heal the world, yet we were just there, doing our thing, rocking our jam. Here comes the man, hot damn. There's a period of tens of thousands of years. We migrated throughout most of the world, but we're all self-sustaining, thriving in pockets of self-abundance. When all the world developed independently and separately, when we didn't know each other yet as black or white, or brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, do you remember the time? Because before we knew it, those times were gone too soon. And if you ask me, I think it's impossible to say when and where we were at our best. That is, when and where the peak of our species was. I mean, come on. Thriller, Bad and Dangerous were all amazing albums with roller coaster rides, of pop hits and B-sides. It's true. I can't choose my favorite era. They were all brilliant. Just like how we are all brilliant. And no matter how you spin it and how you shake it, MJ was MJ all throughout those years. As in, he was always the same person, just like we are all the same people. We just happen to look a little different like he did through all these changes. But today, October 22nd, 2017, this is much, much later on the Michael Jackson timescale. Today, our entire civilization, our entire world population, all of us, we're like Michael Jackson right before his final This Is It concert series. Because honestly, this is it. This is it. And we all know how that concert series never happened. We all know how MJ overdosed on prescription drugs, sending him into a deep sleep that he never woke up from. We all know how his addictions ultimately destroyed him. And how our addictions will ultimately destroy us. Tell me we are different. Tell me we aren't addicted to fossil fuels like how MJ was to lorazepam and propofol. Tell me that coal, oil, and natural gas aren't our special cocktail of recklessness, our quick fix to feed our needs and desires, to fuel our dependency until it all comes crashing down. Remember the story that all the planet brothers and sisters used to tell about their sister Venus girl? About that one time when she farted and burped at the same time and released so much carbon dioxide and water vapor into her atmosphere that it created a gas blanket. And that gas blanket let the sun's energy shine onto her skin, but trapped the heat in as infrared before it could escape back out into outer space. It was that gas blanket burp that hotboxed her into a runaway greenhouse effect, sizzling her skin to hundreds of degrees Celsius, boiling off her ocean waters, and abolishing the possibility of life ever existing on her surface. Well, here on Earth, the story is no different. If we continue to produce electricity with outdated technologies that shoot carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, it's clear that we will be the FERP on Mother Earth's surface. We will be the ones to hotbox her into a catastrophic destruction of life as we know it. And for this reason, we are on a singular path towards the greatest extinction event since the massive die-off of the dinosaurs. Funny how we burn prehistoric oil, coal, and natural gas. the soup and remains of plants and animals who died off long before I came onto the scene. Funny how we shoot the fumes of past death up into the sky like a tear gas prelude up into the heavens as we choke ourselves out, as we scorch our own extinction into the history books. It's an inevitable, inconvenient truth if we continue to live as we do. Tell me, are we so in denial that we're unable to pay attention to what matters most? Are we fated to an unintentional suicide the same way that MJ died? Or are we ready to get our acts together and put on this amazing concert series and live our lives out till old age? This is our chance to write our own history. Do we destroy ourselves? Or do we take care of ourselves and perform like we were born to do? Do we take control of recklessness? Do we wean ourselves off of fossil fuels? And yes, we can talk about other addictions like monocropping or the abuse of pesticides. We can talk about the risks associated with the profit-motivated overuse of genetically modified foods. We can talk about plastics and deforestation and pollution and overfishing. We can talk about how we're rapidly running out of clean water for drinking. We can talk about our obsession with convenience and consumption and materialism. We talk about our tendency to wage war, and these are all really important issues because they affect us as citizens within our respective regions. But as far as the entire Homo sapiens species is concerned, nothing holds a candle to the threat of global climate change. And nothing is more important than solving our energy needs and our fossil fuel dependency. This is what will define our global times. And when our legacies are inscribed in the universe's history books, it will be about what we did or didn't do to change our own ways. When we knew that our own fate was in our own hands and the heat was on, it will be about our actions or our inactions. So many different crossroads, but the paths look the same. Like it could have gone different, but it went this way. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, and it's all in our past. What comes in the future depends who you ask. Because if you ask a climate scientist, he'll tell you that worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario is scenario 1. Game over. Runaway greenhouse effect such that everything dies. All life as we know it goes extinct. Everything. Nada, null, sol, bado, epis, maruleng, ole. 0. The earth will shake us off like fleas and continue on as she pleases, and maybe life gets born again sometime later. Or maybe it doesn't. No big deal, good game, well played. You had a good run life. Mama Earth gave birth to a single-celled organism. It thrived and reproduced and evolved for billions of years, and then it all died out. Like every life cycle of everything that we've ever known about. Or maybe the climate scientists will tell you about slightly better scenario 2. Reboot. Certainly, at the very least, there will be some bacteria and archaea that survive because life tends to figure out a way to stick around when the chips are down. And besides, those things are amazing. There are archaea living near deep-sea volcanic vents at temperatures up to 251 degrees Fahrenheit. And there are bacteria living in the spent nuclear fuel rod containers that we've buried underground to sit and decay for thousands of years. They're thriving off of ionizing radiation just fine. Certainly, some of these guys will be around long after we wipe out all of the life on this planet. But then there's scenario 3, the extreme, which is even more likely that every kingdom will send their hardiest species into the next era to represent them. The plants will send the seaweeds and the drought-resistant bushes and grasses. The succulents and the cacti, they will all do fine. And the animals, they'll send the crustaceans and the insects. The fish, the sharks, the rays, the turtles, the crocodiles, the snakes, the seals, the whales, the dolphins, the camels, and the kangaroos. And the fungi, shoot, they'll spore it up, outlasting whatever extreme conditions we throw their way. And then there's scenario 4, no more us, which is to say that this world will look a lot like how it does now, except with us humans gone. Our factories and high-rises will serve as monuments to the foreshadowing of our end times, like the statues on Rapa Nui, like the Egyptian pyramids or the Mayan temples. The animals will use our apartments, offices, and stores for shelter. And then there's scenario 5, evolution, which is to say that we survive, but we evolve into some completely different species, like how we've done for millions of years ever since we branched off from the chimpanzees to become hominins. Like maybe we become more heat tolerant. Or maybe we go back into the oceans, developing better swimming mechanisms like our seal whale and dolphin cousins. Or maybe we go cyborg, incorporating technology into our skin, bones, and brains. Side note, man, if we all had biological USB, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi, I could have just beamed this whole presentation to you guys. Man, it's hard work up here, y'all. For real. But then there's scenario 6, a simpler time, which is to say that we survive as humans, but all the major population centers get wiped out. We migrate towards the North and the South Poles where it's not so scorching hot. We live and grow our food near the Arctic or Antarctica. Live in small villages in suitable places, live sustainably off the land, return to a simpler time. Tell stories about the great civilizations that once thrived. And then there's scenario 7, business as usual. We continue on as we are now, heavily dependent on fossil fuels, with wars to obtain and control resources disguised as conflicts based on cultural political differences. And some countries do just fine, while others dwindle because they live in constant turmoil, while some get completely devastated by natural disasters and drought, while the heat slowly rises. And then there's scenario 8. We fully integrate the cutting-edge technology that we already have right now. We phase out our fossil fuels, survive purely on solar, wind, and geothermal, store the excess in batteries or hydrogen for fuel cells for when we need it. We establish an equilibrium with our ecosystem. We take care of our water. We take care of our land. We take care of our well-being. Live sustainably. I like scenario 8, y'all. We could do scenario 8 right now. And then there's scenario 9. Brand new game, revolution, and challenge level, power up. 9 lives, 9 times, 9 tries, we thrive off a cutting-edge technology that revolutionizes everything. Simply put, develop fusion energy as a reliable resource, as a near infinite, environmentally friendly source of energy to usher us into the next era of abundance. We master the process of the stars, build our own solar discos here on Earth, and we dance. We are building a reactor in the south of France, a collaboration between the European Union, China, India, Japan, Russia, South Korea, and the United States. We call it ITER. In Latin, it means the way, and we're all chipping in on this. We've already poured the concrete foundation. We are already assembling the parts for a reactor that will prove to the world that fusion energy is reliable and feasible. A reactor that will be built by 2025 and fully operational by 2035. And after that, we build the first full-scale power plant to pump fusion electricity into the grid. It's coming. And whether it's scenario 8 or scenario 9, it doesn't matter. We will become sustainable. We must become sustainable. Because the moment we perfect this, the moment we get this, we all win together. Game on. Because energy is the currency of the universe. Think about it. Energy is the currency of the universe, which is to say that we could pay for anything and everything the moment we figure out how to become fully sustainable. We'd have infinite energy at our fingertips. Imagine. City grids run off of fusion reactors spinning, cooling the gang in earth, wind, and fire. Imagine. Every vehicle run off of hydrogen fuel cells. Imagine. The ability to desalinize ocean water for cheap. Imagine. Self-sustained countries who can grow their food year-round in indoor grow houses powered by green technologies. Imagine. All the computing power necessary to share information and technology. Imagine. Spaceship cities leaving Earth. Interplanetary cruise ships to explore and research the outer limits of our solar system and beyond. Imagine the possibilities when we become fully self-sustaining. Like a hopscotch game of infinite time. Every time we move forward, there could have been 9 parallel dimensions, and it's all in our hands. 9 scenarios. In our roles, Our roles as citizens within an undefined future, I mean, honestly, it's up to us and the world we choose to live in, the side of history that we choose to stand on. But what is not up to us is the delusion to claim ignorance. And if you choose to do nothing, I guess that's your decision. You better just hope that the rest of us figure out scenarios 8 or scenario 9 with no glitches in their full implementation. But if you happen to be down to help create a global self-sustaining reality, if you happen to be into making progress towards an eco-conscious, thriving community right now, then choose your contribution. And we can start anywhere. We can even start right here by tapping back into our humanity, by increasing our levels of peace, by growing into more conscious beings, by saying hi to strangers on the street, by spending less of our days in seats in front of screens and more on our feet, by being more healthy and eating less meat. We support local everything when we can. Renewable, reusable, sustainable, generic labels, reduce, reuse, recycle, walk or ride a bicycle, maximum awareness, minimalist life, solar water heaters, photovoltaics, LED lights, compost used for food gardens, digging bins for thrift shop bargains, hybrid, electric, alternative green, heirloom seeds, more diversity, more planting of fruit trees, less packaging, less processing. More understanding, more investing in businesses that simply get it, in politicians and policies that are progressive, the ones who believe in future technologies, in solar and fusion electricity. So stand up, let your voices be heard and vote with your wallets. Less plastic, more organic. Less oil, more soil. When it's yellow, it mellows. Less paper, more digital. These actions are simple and real. It's not all hypothetical or intangible.
5 minutes till showtime.
Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
4 minutes till showtime.
And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change.
3 minutes till showtime.
Mama say, Mama sa, humaksa. Mama say, Mama sa, humaksa. Said you want to be starting something, got to be starting something. Because this is it. Call me symbolic, but it all adds up in the end. And if we can reduce our carbon footprint just a little bit, and if everybody else does too, imagine the impact we could have. Imagine how sustainable we could be and how much lighter this world would feel in our hands as we pass it on to our children. And our children's children.
2 minutes till showtime.
So take a look at our addictions and slowly wean ourselves off them. It's not too late. And stop the love you say may be your own. Because this is it.
1 minute till showtime. Places, everyone.
ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. Or simple as do, re, mi, ABC. 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me, girl. So let's rock this one last concert series and live our lives out to old age. And one day, when we fade, we'll know that we did our best. Because that's all we ever really could do. And tonight, and in this life, that just might be enough.